Hi.
Hi,
How you doing?
Chris.
How you doing?
Okay. How are you?
Good, thanks. It's gonna say I'm Elena tonight.
Well, I used to be Larry Devron, then I got my own Zoom account. So,
That's good.
so now I am myself.
So I love that stained glass you have in the window behind you. That's beautiful.
Yes, I did those when I was managing Army Arts and Crafts programs. I did everything. I learned how to do woodworking. I learned how to do glass, jewelry, and so I did a couple of stained glass windows or panels.
That's cool. That's cool. Good. So are all of you guys all of you from W6 W8 are participating tonight?
I think so.
Okay, that's cool. I love it.
Yeah, hopefully Brian is finished with Raku and he's cleaning things up. I'm thinking that was supposed to go till about 4 o'clock, but then there's always the stuff that comes after.
Yeah, well, I decided the best way to do this is just treat it like a true second Saturday and do it by order of building. So that means nobody else from 9 or 10 is participating, so you guys will be last. So hopefully that gives them a little time, a little extra time.
And I'm thinking that a couple of people might be on site. I think that Kristen is going to be on site because it's kind of hard to, or the way she explained it, it's kind of hard to look at an image of that big thing on the wall. So yes. It's better to kind of see
yeah,
it.
that's good because I know Dale's working from there and I heard him yelling at Sarah. So Sarah's there. So that's good because hopefully they can give a little bit of a little walking tour of the gallery. That's always, you know, since a lot of people aren't coming to campus right now, that'll at least give them a chance to have a little look-see at everything.
Well, it will give some context because you can see the gallery, the exhibition.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna change my name here.
Yeah,
I see two Elenas here.
Okay. We can't both be Elena, just me.
So well, you can put your name there too. So on your screen where your picture is,
yeah,
you see where it says mute and they have the 3 dots.
Yeah.
Click on that, and it'll say rename.
Yeah, I don't get that option.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
You should be able to do it if you try.
Again, I think it's because I'm doing it on the iPad. Let's see if I can. Let's see if
actually,
I can.
You know what?
Aha! I found where I can rename it. It's under participants. So let's see. Yes. Okay. Sweet. There we go. All right.
Let me just.
Now, me.
Woo!
All right. Look at that.
So, all right. So I am actually in the. I'm going to do share screen, and what I just did is I put down here multiple participants can share simultaneously.
Okay.
Oh. Is what I checked.
That'll be good because then if Sarah's there and whatnot, you guys can give a little tour if you want or share photos.
So we got that set up, and I'll just make sure I get. Let's see here. And I made sure that I'm plugged in so I don't lose power because that would kind of suck.
Okay, we have other people joining us now.
Oh shoot, where are the pictures? There you go. All right, so where's Brian's?
You know where Brian's are.
Yeah, they're on my desktop, but now I can't. Okay, there's 1, there's 2, and then the rest are on the Dropbox. All right. Okay, so let's share one of the Dropbox ones. And let's just see if I can get this to work here. All right.
Okay, if you've just joined us, we'll get started in a couple of minutes.
Okay, there's Karen. Can you see Karen's?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. All right, and I can even enlarge it a little bit if we want to. That's cool. All right, and then we can go to the next one. Okay. Okay, so she's got these actually in reverse. So I want to do
Yeah, you're going to want to do the process photos.
6, 5. Yeah, 6, 5, 4, 3. All right.
Okay, we'll be starting in about 2 minutes.
Okay, and then 2. Okay, so 2, 3, and then these are different. These are fret pieces here. Yeah. Okay. All right. We should be good. All right. So I will stop sharing screen. So we have. I can admit her, Kareem.
Yeah, I've got that.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll
Hi,
get
folks.
started.
Can you guys hear us okay?
Yes.
Great.
Can you hear us?
Welcome. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get started for tonight. My name is Sharon Moores. I'm the artist liaison
It's
at
up to you.
Workhouse Art Center.
Whatever. If you.
I didn't want to interrupt your.
Sorry.
That's okay. I represent the 60+ artists on campus, most of whom are studio artists who work on campus, but we have about 10 artists who are Arches Gallery associate artists. They create their work elsewhere. Most of them have home studios, but they display and sell their work at Workhouse. Tonight we're going to be taking closer looks at 2 of our studio artists, watercolorist Terry Anstrom and glass artist Karen Abbott. And we'll also be talking to several members of our ceramics building who are going to be taking you through an exhibit we currently have in their gallery called Reform. Your host for tonight is Dale Marhanka. Dale is the Glass and Ceramics Director at Workhouse Art Center, and he is also our Interim Arts Program Director. Hi, Dale.
Hi, folks. Thanks for coming. So we have a Penny DePass who is asking if someone could give her the passcode so she can use her computer.
It's
Got it.
Workhouse.
And
I
how
got
do you?
it.
Oh, you got it. Okay, Penny. How do you
Dale.
pronounce your last name?
The S is silent, DePa.
DePass. Oh, very
Yeah,
nice.
I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I attended Paul Jackson's watercolor workshop 2, 3 years, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever
Oh,
that
yeah.
was.
Why?
And so I saw this pop up, and I was like, well, I'm curious how they're going to run this. I invited my painting buddy. I don't know if she's going to have a chance to join, but I invited her from Raleigh as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a very organic process here.
So Dale, I'll take care of admitting people and answering questions.
So Pam Eisenman is also here. I don't know. Can you guys see Pam there? Is Pam wave? Thank you. So Pam's one of our ceramic resident artists. Sharon introduced herself, but she's the artist liaison for the Workhouse Arts Foundation. And she's our bridge between the artist and folks that apply here for studios and just basically kind of tag teams it with other staff members trying to keep things going here for us. So she's a big part of our, like the cog, so to speak, of the working machine here for our Arts Center. Hi, Lynn.
Hi,
Thank you for joining us.
thank you.
And Lynn, are you from local area or?
Alexandria City.
Oh, very nice.
Welcome. So Dale, would you like to talk a little bit about Workhouse real quick?
Sure. So the Workhouse Arts Center is is on the grounds of a former prison, part of what was called the Lorton Correctional Facility, or the Occoquan Workhouse back in the day. It was started back in 1910 as part of the progressive reform movement, back when the penal system was a little bit more attentive to the needs of individuals as far as trying to rehabilitate them to so they could matriculate back into society in a good fashion rather than just throwing away the key and saying goodbye to them, right? It was Teddy Roosevelt who signed the deeded the land over to the DC government, and the prisoners had a self-sustaining environment here. They had a fishery. They had 11 beehive kilns along the river down the road here. They dug the clay. They made the bricks. They fired the bricks, and they built the structures that we are now housed in today. The land was ceded over to the County of Fairfax in Virginia in 2000, and we have a 50-year lease. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi.
With the county to occupy these buildings. We've readapted the use of them. Originally, they were going to be bulldozed, and we'd have basically townhomes and single-family homes where we're sitting now. So this is a great example of what you can do with a little bit of vision and community involvement. Take a negative and make it positive, and do something that's good for community and just long-term environment here. If you've been around in the Washington metropolitan area, it gets denser and denser as we go throughout the years here. And it's nice to know that something like this can be done with different people of different walks of life, and everybody come together with a vision to improve our community. So we have an art center here that was formally opened in 2008. September 19th was the grand opening. We have painting, drawing classes. We have performing arts classes. We have ceramics and glass, of course. And those are 2 dedicated buildings for those mediums. But we also have events, arts-related events. We have folks that will rent the site at various times for their wedding receptions. Some people even got married on site here. But we are pretty much, artists have 24/7 access. COVID's kind of thrown some of us for a loop, as we all have been thrown. It's kind of a purgatorial time of our lives. But this has been a nice oasis for a lot of people since we reopened back in June, a couple months ago, for in-person classes at heavily reduced enrollment numbers to keep everything safe. But we have been offering visual arts education courses and events since September 2008. And we continue to expand our offerings. And in some ways, in a weird way, with COVID-19 occurring several months ago and shutting everybody down, it's forced us to use technology like we're using tonight in a positive way to communicate. And it's been pretty tricky for a lot of us, right? Especially a lot of us artists. We're not necessarily, and depending on our, our experiences, we're not tech savvy in a lot of ways. Some of us have websites, some not so much. But it's forced us to become a little bit more tech savvy. So it's a good challenge, I think, for us. And like any challenge we have here when you start an art center, readapting the use of various buildings that were not meant for art studios, it creates a challenge. And I think we've risen to that here. We have a great group of artists on site. We continue to expand our artists as we go through the years here. And we have people that sometimes they'll move to this area. If you are around here, this area tends to be kind of transient. So we actually get artists that will end up parking their hat here from various parts of the country, because as they move for their jobs or their spouses' jobs, we get people from all corners of the country, which is pretty interesting. I think we have a great variety of thinkers here, so to speak. But tonight's going to be kind of fun, organic process, just like we started with getting this thing going here at the Art Center. And I see Joan Ulrich joined us, as well as Sarah Petty. So those are 2 ceramic resident artists. We have a Sherry Dexter joining us here in a second.
Okay, would you like to start talking about our first featured artist of the night, Terry Anstrom?
Yeah, so Terry Anstrom is one of our watercolorists on site here. Terry, Sharon, do you know how long she's been here? I think she's been here 7 years. Is that correct?
That actually, I believe she's been here longer because I know she was a featured artist in 2011 for one of the area publications. So she's probably been with Workhouse almost the whole time Workhouse has been around.
Okay. Yeah, I can't, I don't remember specifically. I want to say 7, 8 years. Of course, we've been open since 2008, so already it's been 12 years come this September. But let me open up a couple of her images here. And let's see if I can share this appropriately with you guys. Share my screen. Now, Terry has on view a series of work that she's called Georgia O'Keeffe Revisited. So we'll go through these as slowly as possible for you guys.
Terry can't join us tonight, but if you're familiar at all with Georgia O'Keeffe's work, you'll clearly see the influences here. She likes doing the extreme close-up details of flowers like Georgia O'Keeffe did, and she also uses a very similar richness of color like Georgia O'Keeffe did. One of the differences is, though, Terry's former career was as a high school mathematics teacher, and I think when you look at her artwork, you can really see the influences of her mathematical mind, whereas Georgia O'Keeffe's paintings are almost esoteric in some ways. You sometimes can't tell you're looking at a flower. The close-up is so extreme. In Terry's paintings, you can really see the structure of the flower and how the flower is formed. Terry uses a lot of different media to really enhance the detail and richness of color in her painting. She likes to layer color. She does glazes and background washes to really help make color more intense. She also does a lot of negative painting and lifting of color, so you can get a lot of fine detail in there. In this painting, you can see right now, you see a lot of shadowing that she
the
uses.
depth on that is amazing on this particular painting.
Yep.
I love that.
She has incredible detail, but that's, to me, it's really her mathematical mind where she really wants to show the structure and the detail of the flower, whereas Georgia O'Keeffe was a little more interested in making you wonder what you were looking at and explore the femininity of a flower.
Liking that one there. That's a great one. I
Yeah.
like that one. And she's got 5, so this is a third of the 5th one that she provided to us.
About what size are these?
I have to admit, we didn't get that information from Terry, but if you have been to her studio at all, a lot of her pieces are decent size. She usually works in about 24 inches across is usually her smallest. She likes to work on large canvases. So when you see these in person, they are huge.
Yeah, I want to say 18 by 24, the 24 by 36.
Yeah, I mean, she usually is more in the 36-inch range. Her pieces are large. So when you are looking at these in person, the level of detail is even more extreme than you're seeing right now. You really get the depth in each of these flowers when you see it in person because it's much larger than your head.
And so here, I'll show the last one here.
So this one is one of my favorites of Terry's. When you walk into Terry's studio, it's almost like walking into a rainforest. You are just surrounded with vivid life. Her colors and the size of her paintings are amazing. And for those of you who are familiar with watercolor, a lot of times watercolor looks much softer than what Terry does. Terry really builds the layers of her color to get a real richness that you don't always see in watercolor. So when you walk into her studio, you are just surrounded on 4 walls by this artwork. You kind of feel like you've entered the botanical gardens or a rainforest. It's really overwhelming in a good way.
And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here. And so here, I'll show the last one here Yeah, she's really been working more lately with trying to add the more extreme contrast to the imagery, as I think Sharon alluded to a few minutes ago. And I like the ones. I mean, I don't know if you guys, does anybody have a favorite? But I think this is my favorite. That one and
That
this
one.
one here. Yeah,
Yeah, I
the
don't
depth and
I
some of
don't
the.
know the names of the first two you shared, but the first one that you said was your favorite. I know that one is called Royal White.
Yeah, and I want to say she
Oh
definitely
no, I'm
tends.
sorry, Darling White, I believe.
Yeah, and I think she mostly focuses on irises and orchids.
Yes,
A
she
lot of
likes
her
those a
subject
lot.
matter.
But pretty much any colorful flower she will tackle, and she's been doing plant life too. You can walk into her studio and see several that are just so many different shades of green, because she does extreme close-ups of the patterns and veins that are in the leaves, and those are really amazing pieces as well.
So let me see if I can. I have to stop sharing, I think, to type this in. But I'm going to type in Terry's email address. So if you folks have any questions that we can't answer tonight, you can always just email Terry. And let's just see if I
Yes,
can get this to everybody here.
she'd be happy to share with you. And she also has been working in her studio occasionally. So sometimes you can see her at Workhouse. Dale, do you
Yeah,
also have her website that you could share?
yeah. So I have that right here. It's let's see, www.watercolors.
Don't forget that hyphen.
Yes, ma'am. Hi.
And then Terry can't be with us tonight because she has a family obligation. But please, if you have any questions, she would be happy to answer them.
Yeah, so like, and I think she had a space between Bai and Terry. Do you think that matters? I don't think that matters on
No,
this.
it's actually not a real
Yeah,
space.
I didn't think so because that would be kind of strange for URL. But yeah, so like a lot of the artists right now on site since COVID came about, it's kind of hit and miss when you come to visit. So right now we're open 12 to 5, Fridays through Sunday, limited hours, just trying to make sure that we can protect our artists, our staff, etc., and just the general public, to not expose them to too many things. But some of the artists are coming in on a regular basis because they have 24/7 access, and others are kind of limiting their access just to try to maintain some safety. Because that's one of the difficulties with this whole COVID thing, is that some of us are more susceptible to it than others, and that's important. So when you come on site Friday through Sunday, you may see quite a number of the artists here, and then sometimes you might only see just a couple. And that's just our current reality. But hopefully we'll, that'll continue to get better as we move forward. Our fingers are crossed. I'm sure everybody's thinking about that. All right. Does anybody have any questions about Terry's work before we move on to the next artist? And again, if you don't, if we don't have any answers for you tonight, and feel free to always ask as we go through the night. You can always just send an email to Terry at tamstrom48@gmail.com. Okay.
Yeah,
You might,
she paints similar subjects that I do as well. So
As
I
Audrey?
got
As who,
as,
Penny? I'm sorry.
as Terry. Terry and I paint similar subjects
Oh, okay. So did you meet
in
Terry?
watercolor.
Okay. So did you meet Terry before you came here for that workshop?
No, that was my first time, and I only came from Paul Jackson's workshop.
Oh,
I did walk around. I
uh-huh.
don't remember who else I met or saw, or
Gotcha.
there was one guy working in Yupo, and I stood and talked to him and watched what he was
Gotcha.
doing, because I had no experience with Yupo. I still don't, but I know more people who do it. But I've got a website.
That was probably a former artist of ours, Jeff Gorell, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year, but he was
Yeah.
a Yupo master and taught a lot of us how to use it because we had no idea ourselves. He was an early adopter of the form.
I can
Yeah. Well,
believe
he was
that.
he was the dean of the Arts College at GMU for a
Yep.
number of years. I want to
Yeah,
say,
he was older.
yeah,
You know, I
30
can
something
believe.
years. Yeah, unfortunately, he passed away in March.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fortunately, yeah, that was very sad.
Oh, yes, it was.
Okay. All right. So I think we'll
Would
move
you
on
like
to. Go ahead.
Karen Abbott.
Yeah. So the next artist we're going to talk about is Karen Abbott. She is a glass artist. She's been working with glass for 40 plus years. Karen actually was a stained glass artist for pretty much 35, I'm going to say, years of her work with the medium. And she has a very kind of interesting career as also a zoologist. Her specialty was bears. And she worked for the National Zoo for a long time. But her wheelhouse with glass initially was stained glass. So let me bring up her work here. Let me get rid of this one.
We have so many artists who had interesting past lives or even current lives. Another one of our glass artists drives the train at Burke Lake Park.
So what I'm going to do here is, let's see if I can find an image of like some of her recent stuff. She's been working currently. So Karen is pretty versatile glass artist, as I started to allude to there. So her specialty was stained glass for a long time. She's been branching out for the past 5 years. Hang on one second. I just got to mute myself.
Sorry, Dale's at work and he is occasionally getting interrupted by people who come in. In fact, the brickwork that he was talking about earlier, you can see some of the example of that brickwork behind him. And if you can see Sarah Petty's screen as well, that's some of the brick that was created by former prisoners at Workhouse.
All right, hang on one second, folks.
There. So we have a really active glass program at Workhouse. We rarely have any vacancies in the studios there because there aren't a lot of glass programs in the area. The same goes for ceramics. While there are other ceramics programs in the area, it's hard to find another program that has so many studios available. And also it's a program that allows children to work on the wheels, on the throwing clay, which is not something you find anywhere else in this area. In fact, that's one of the reasons I started coming to Workhouse. At the time, my young daughter was very interested in taking ceramics classes, and nobody in the area would let young children throw on the wheel except for Workhouse. And it is, if you've ever had the chance to do that, you know it is a really incredible experience to actually feel the clay under your hands as it's spinning. So I think it's fantastic that Workhouse has programs for children in the ceramics department.
All right,
Dale,
sorry, folks.
I was just filling the time a little while you wandered off.
So you remember that word I used earlier, organic? This is a perfect example of it. All right, so to get back to what Karen's all about. So again, she started out in glass as a stained glass artist for many, many years, did private commissions and really a lot of architectural repair and stuff. And now she's branched out. She's been flame working. She's been fusing glass. I think she took a couple of glass blowing classes up at Corning in Corning, New York. That's a wonderful place, by the way. If you guys have not been to any major glass museum, Corning, New York has the Corning Museum of Glass, and it's amazing. So I would definitely make a road trip if you get a chance. I don't know if they're currently open or not, so I just want to put that caveat out there. But this is a piece that she's, and this is along the lines of the series she's been working on lately, where she's been using fused glass and frit together to create these pieces. So this would be a metal stand here, and then the frit in the glass piece would be this disc right here. And let's see if I can get into the next one. Yeah, so this is and let me blow it up a little bit. Can you guys see that okay?
Yes.
That's a little better, I think. Okay, so and these are like these floral elements. So this would be the panel, the disc itself could be glass frit. So frit is basically glass that's been ground up. So it's like a, like a flour, right? Like flour, like a baker would use. And then this is a flame worked element here. And then these are fused glass pieces that she's come back. She's cold worked them, which means she's ground or cut them. And then she's put this together as a layer and then put it back into a kiln. Here's another piece here. And then I'll see if I can get a little closer so you can see it. So this flower here, and I think that's, I mean, I'm kind of ignorant when it comes to botanical elements, but I believe that's like a lotus flower there of some sort.
Probably a lily.
Lily. So these would be flame worked. Okay. So her process, and I'll show you pictures of it here in a second. So basically what she's doing is it's a multi-step process where these pieces they start out as a clay object. This slab here would be done out of clay. The stem, and then these bud pieces right through here. Can you guys see that cursor okay?
Yes.
They would be done out of clay first, okay? And then these would be separate elements. The buds and the flower here would be flame worked or separate pieces of glass that were fused together to create that particular component or element. And then she'll put everything together and then fire it in the kiln to basically melt it or fuse it together. So it's a combination of mold making. Then you have flame worked elements, and then you have fused glass components that are then added and then fused together. The last firing would be to get everything to basically stick and blend together, so to speak. But I'll show you the process here. The first image, let me go back quickly here. Whoop, too far. I'll show you that one in a minute. So this would be a flame worked element, this particular bud here. See if I can get up close enough. So also sometimes, can you guys see that, or is it still too fuzzy? Sharon, is that too fuzzy?
It's a little fuzzy, but I think folks can see the details. Are you saying that's glass, or is that?
Yeah, that's glass. That's a glass component.
Wow, the detail is amazing.
Yeah. And then this next one would be, so there's the mold for the piece, right? And then she's just sizing it up. So that was made first there, right? And then what she does, this is all clay. So now she's just measuring and trying to figure out what she needs to do for her frame of her mold. And then this is her cleaning it out, but I want to go to 6, sorry. So there's a close-up shot of it. And then here, this is she's working with plaster. So a mold, has anybody have any experience? If you have any experience with mold making, raise your hand. Did anybody raise their hand, Sharon?
You're sharing the screen, so I can't see.
Okay. All right. So that's hard for me too. So sorry, guys. But anyhow, so mold making for ceramics, I mean, glass is a little bit different than ceramics. So with ceramics, we don't fire the mold. Because if we do, given the composition of the mold, it would basically just blow up in the kiln. But with glass, your mold is going to go into the furnace / kiln and be fired. So the difference between a ceramic mold and a glass mold is that you have a higher silica content. So usually a mold, the plaster composition or the mold composition for glass is going to be 50% silica, 50% plaster, and it has to be higher in silica in order to make it through the firing process. Now, granted, you know, for ceramics, we'll go anywhere from 1800 to 2300 degrees Fahrenheit on average to fire our pieces. But for a mold and glass, you're only going up to about 1500 degrees Fahrenheit. But so once the mold is fired, it's just broken off. So what that other picture that we had here, this is after the mold was just basically air dried. She's cleaning it out. And then what she'll do is she'll pour the glass into this area of the mold here, the frit. Just like she'll just powder the frit in there. Different, if she's creating, let's just say an image or an object that has multiple colors, she'll just take a cupful of, like, say, blue frit or glass powder, and then a cupful of red, and then a cupful of yellow, and she'll layer it like that. And then the whole thing goes into the kiln. And then once it comes out, you'll have an object kind of like this, where you've got those multiple layers of colors. See how it's kind of dark up here and then dark at the bottom? So you'll see the layering that occurs, and that's just from the powder. And then again, she'll come back, and depending on, the piece that she's working with, she'll add floral elements that are either separately produced by flame working, or like I mentioned earlier, through fused glass pieces. So it's pretty, I'd say probably she put about, even though this looks like a simple object, she's probably got about 36 to 40 hours process time and just getting to this point here before she finishes as far as the edges and stuff. Okay. And then these frames are made, these are metal frames that you see there.
And does Tex make the frames for her?
Yeah, so William Forrest, his nickname is Tex, is a metal worker and metal sculptor in the local area, and he tends to make a lot of these stands for the glass artist. He's a partner of one of the resident glass artists, so he gets a lot of work to make stands for some of these glass panels that they produce. So yeah, he's happy. He's a happy-go-lucky guy because he's always got work.
He makes beautiful frames for the glass pieces.
Yeah, and he actually, he's worked quite a bit too, I think, with some of the ceramic artists.
Yes, he has.
I think Brian's worked with him. I want to say, Joan, have you worked with him, Joan? Tex? Joan doesn't hear us? Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So-
I worked with him for a minute until I got his estimate.
It's
All right,
true. Tex
we'll go
does
back.
beautiful work, but it is expensive.
So
But
I'm going to type in Karen's email address. Does anybody have any questions about Karen Abbott's work at all? Now, Karen is in Building 7 here at the workhouse. And she's one of our artists that actually has been coming in, believe it or not, quite a bit.
Yep.
I think since we closed up March 13th, she and probably 3 of the other glass artists have been coming in pretty much every day to work.
Yep.
But let me type in.
Not a type of media you can work at out of your house very easily, glass.
Well, you'd be surprised. It's a lot cleaner than clay.
True.
But it's all you need, is just a good clean tabletop. You need a small kiln, fusing kiln. It doesn't use as much power as ceramic kilns do. That's for sure. But if you just have a clean area, you'd be quite surprised as to the number of people that have glass studios in their house. Much more so than ceramic enthusiast or hobbyist.
When I was a partner in a craft gallery, I did go to somebody's house she did dichroic glass jewelry. So there were small,
Oh, yeah, right.
she could do small pieces like that. And near where I live is the Cedar Creek Gallery.
Okay.
Lisa Oakley's the glass artist, but it was her father who was considered a living treasure in North Carolina. He was a big potter back in the, it's like, I want to go Sam Oakley, Simon Oakley. It's like
In Seagrove area, up in the Roan Mountains.
He was he was in Creedmoor area, south of Creedmoor, north of Raleigh. But he was very connected with the Seagrove potters down there.
Yeah, no, there's a large network of potters in North Carolina. That's why a lot of us moved down there.
Yeah.
Because it's such
it's Sid Oakley.
Yeah.
Sid, thank you.
Yeah,
Simon, Sam, begin with an S. Sid, yes.
So Kristen, have you heard of, or Pam, have you guys heard of the last name Oakley, Sid Oakley? I'm trying to remember if, I bet you if he was, so was this in the early 1900s? Early to mid 1900s?
I would say 30s, 40s, 50s,
30s, 40s,
60s,
okay.
somewhere in there.
So he would have been after the American Crafts movement.
Yeah, he founded Cedar Creek Pottery in 1968, according to his bio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
And in
This is
fact,
Dawn.
one of his children is a glass blower now.
Yeah, Lisa. Lisa and her mother, Pat, still run the gallery if it's still in business because of COVID, but they've got a fantastic place about a half hour north of Raleigh.
Okay, so
And-
Mr. Shiny Object guy here is going to finally type in Karen's email address.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
He got distracted.
My middle name is Tangent. All right. Any questions about Karen's work again, just before we move on?
Does she ever make bears?
You know, I've asked her that
Ah.
several times, but no.
That's a
No.
good question. We should get her to make some
I would
bears.
email that to her because I've asked her and she's always told me no. Now, sometimes the way she answers that, I'm always curious as to whether or not she's really telling the truth. Because some of us tease each other about certain objects that we might make. You know, like when I teach, one of my big spiels is, I don't want to see any unicorns, hearts, or ashtrays, right? So I wonder sometimes if people think bears are maybe too cute. Who knows?
Dale, I made some bears for her.
There you go.
Oh, you did?
Some spectacled bears, I did.
So in what
That's
relation?
great.
So was that for a specific project?
Well, she saw some of my work and she said, could you make me a spectacled bear? I said, sure.
Do you have a spectacle? So do you have a picture of that?
No, I don't.
Okay. So I was
But
going to say,
ask her about it.
okay, I will. That's pretty funny. Okay. And let's see if I don't think we have, Sharon, double check for me. Do we have a website for Karen?
Let me look real quick and no, actually, I don't believe we do, but let me check really quick and see.
My computer keeps going to sleep here, so I can't. I don't.
No, unfortunately, we don't have a bio page for her on our website.
Yeah. Okay. So I would email Karen offline and see if she has any information, folks, if you have anything that we weren't able to answer for you tonight. Hi, Brian. Brian.
We have several members of our ceramics department with us here tonight because the next thing we're going to talk about is the Reform exhibit that is in building W8, which is our ceramics building, and the gallery up front is where this exhibit is residing.
What the fuck is going on here?
Maybe we need to mute him now. Brian, just so you know, I muted you, buddy, so we don't. This is a G-rated program, sir.
No, we have several members of the ceramics department with us here tonight. One is Pam Eisman, who was just speaking a few minutes ago. Sarah Petty is another member of our ceramics department,
Yes,
and our newest member. Although
Kristen Morses.
she's been here a year now. Kristen Morses is with us. Joan Ulrich is with us. Brian Grow is with us, and I believe that's it for now. No Christy
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah, Christy's hiking somewhere. So what I'm going to try to do at some point here, and I think, so except for, Joan, you're home, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's her
Okay.
studio.
My car.
You're in the car driving to Chicken Cake. So Kristen is here, Sarah's here, Brian's here. So Brian just got done with the Raku workshop. So he's literally a little burnt out probably from the day today. But what I'll do is I will walk around with my laptop. I can actually fold it back like a tablet. And my camera, I'll try to hold up because the Reform exhibit that we're going to talk about that the resident artist produced and displayed since, believe it or not, it's been up since March. Originally, it was an exhibit that was up for the NCECA 2020 conference, which happens once a year in one of the smaller cities around the country. This year was supposed to be in Richmond, Virginia, but due to COVID, it was canceled. So it was an NCECA-related exhibit, which is the National Council on Education for the Ceramic Arts. So the exhibit's been up since March. It'll be up through Labor Day weekend. So September 6th will be the last day for folks to see it. So if you get a chance to come by, and again, we're open Friday through Sundays, 12 to 5. You can see some of the work that they produced specifically for this exhibit. So what I'll do is I'm going to fold my laptop back like a tablet, and then that way we can show you guys the image. Let me get Karen's off here. And I will put up, let's see, let's start with Pam's. So I'll go through and share the screen of Pam's work here. Hang on one second. Share my screen. Uh-oh. Let's see. Oh, hang on. That's my doctor's appointment.
Do not share that.
It's a little jocularity here. I'll keep my day job. Okay. Can you guys see that? Okay, so we'll scroll through some of the pieces here of Pam's, and then, like I said, we'll be able to see the real thing through my camera on my laptop here.
Is her statement ready to show?
Yeah, I gotta find that. Hang on. Hang on.
Oh, you moved to Kristen.
I did, didn't I? I gotta go back out. I gotta back out. Hang on, guys. I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. There you are. All right, let me go back. So it's not part of that statement, wasn't part of that Dropbox, Sharon?
No, but let me see if I can find it.
So Pam, actually, you can read your statement. That's even just from the horse's mouth would be great.
Well, okay, here's a part of it with some alterations, I guess. The pieces in the reform exhibit evolved from an exploration of form, altering of vessels, and discovery of where the form transformations will lead. I take inspiration from the malleability of the clay, images in nature and historical imagery, and like full, fat, sensuous forms. Over a number of years, I have been portraying animals' fantasy lives in whimsical or incongruous circumstances and considered containers as vehicles for expression, as in the ancient Egyptian-inspired canopic jars. And so that first image you saw was an imperial falcon. And I guess the others are coming. So essentially, I'm interested in form. And you see that some of these forms have taken a whimsical nature too. I like the animals to be doing something.
It's okay. I think we just have a little interference.
I may not be able to.
Sail moving around.
Hang on. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
All right, so that's not, so let's see if I can, hang on. Sorry, guys. This is that organic, again, process. All right, so let's see, can you guys see that?
Are you at the jar in the corner? It's a little far away.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's weird how you can't see.
No, we can
Does it
see it.
does it show it now?
Yep.
Okay, so this is her display for the exhibit. That's what I'm trying to give you some context here, to show you guys how her display was.
Dale, can you move in a little closer?
Okay, yeah, if you can direct me, Sharon, that'd be great.
Yep, that's good.
How's that?
Yes.
So these are canopic jars, Pam. So Pam, can you talk a little bit about your process?
Well, as I said, I'm interested in form, and these start out as form jars. And I'm interested in ancient Egyptian imagery. And because I have this interest in creatures as well, I want them to be doing something. And I thought, what if these animals were a part of a jar, say a canopic jar? Now, they did not have dogs. They did have jackals. I don't have any cats in this exhibit, but I have put cats on canopic jars. Definitely cats were not on canopic jars. They mummified them. They were objects of honor, I guess you'd say. But then I took some artistic liberties here. There's a dog jar there. There's a falcon, but he has hair, And so it's a little non-traditional. And then,
Pam's known for the whimsy that she puts into her pieces, the details like that.
well, I like the incongruity, animals doing human things or doing unexpected things.
So let me bring up the photos again. Hang on. Do. Am I making a funny face?
Be
Oh,
careful.
that's weird. You know what happened? I lost her. That is strange. So I lost her on my Dropbox. That's weird. Here, we'll go
Oh,
back.
that's weird.
So I wonder if it, when I folded my tablet, I must have accidentally hit a key or something. Here we go. Yeah. Can you guys see that? I
No.
might have to go
Not
back
yet.
to. Hang on.
There's
Hang
Zoom.
on. Yeah, right. It's weird.
This is the thing with Zoom.
Yeah, right. I think it is a little bit of a. There we go.
There it goes.
See that
Okay,
now?
there we go.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Pam, is there a specific any one of these objects you would like me to display so you could talk about it in a little more detail, or?
Well, I think I probably like the former better, but this one has more.
This
Yeah,
one here?
They both have different kinds of details. This is more traditional as far as Egyptian canopic jars.
Mm-hmm.
That's the falcon. That's a falcon too, but he has hair.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the one you were discussing earlier.
Joan,
Yeah,
how
that's-
hard is it to make a hollow form?
Well, these pieces are thrown on the wheel and then they're manipulated. And that's part of the creative process that I like. I like doing something to vessels, and so I've formed manipulated the legs, the feet, added things on, and then added embellishments. And then there are parts that I've assembled, some hand-built parts, some thrown parts, and they become something. Sometimes I don't have a clear idea of where things might go. I explore it. I have a general idea of the image I want, but sometimes the form takes on its own power, and it oh well, I like what that's doing, and so I go with that.
That's cool.
So this is the dog canopic jar. So it's a little different than the jackals. It has the smaller jackal ears, but then it has a dog snout.
My husband is a huge fan of this piece.
Oh, glad to have
He
fans.
loves it.
So Pam, can you give the visitors here tonight a little bit of a background, like how you got into clay, a brief bio?
Oh, how I found clay. Well, back in college, it was the material just grabbed me. It took me in, and I like manipulating the material. I like the process. I like seeing where it goes. It's just a lot of fun, and I have fun obviously with the forms. I started doing the creature forms back in graduate school. I was just playing around with things, playing around with form, playing around with parts, and I said, oh my gosh, these look like living things. And so I took off on an adventure, and they started becoming creatures, and then the creatures evolved. They were nondescript things. They were fantasy animals, real animals, and then I wanted them to start doing things. And so I have animals riding bikes. I have a juggling cow that was in the Ansica exhibit down at Capital One. So I just have fun with them. I like handling it. It's just fun. Yeah.
So So give us a little brief background. Like, I know you were working for the Army crafts programs at one point, right?
Yes, yes. I've had many lives. I was an elementary school teacher. Yes, elementary school teacher. I managed Army Arts and Crafts programs, and I managed occupational safety and health programs at the Smithsonian. So, I've become sort of the safety cop too. Yeah, many lives, but clay has always been at my core. I've always been doing that.
Does anybody have any questions for Pam?
Okay.
No? So Pam, do you want to give everybody your website address or your email in case they have any questions?
Well, my email is eisenmanclay@earthlink.net. That's EISENMANNCLAY@earthlink.net.
Okay, so I'll type that in, earthlink.net. All right, Eisenman Clay. Let's make sure I get Eisenman. Can you tell me if I've got this incorrect? I think I got it right.
My website
Right.
is eisenmanclay.com.
Eisenmanclay.com.
That's good.
And there you go.
Pam,
All right.
thanks for sharing with us tonight.
Thank you, Pam. Okay, so let's go to Joan.
Oh,
So Joan Ulrich is one of our ceramic resident artists. So like Pam, Joan and Pam have been here, I guess, well, let's see. Joan has been here since the inception of the ceramics program at the workhouse. Pam came in, Pam, what was it, about 9 months after we started, I guess?
I came in November 2009.
Okay, so it would have been a year, a little over a year.
Before that, yeah.
Yeah. So Joan's been here since the inception of the program. She's also an artist down at the Torpedo Factory in Old Town Alexandria. But Joan teaches for us, and she is a vessel maker, but she also does sculptural things. So I'm going to try to. This is her display.
Dale, do you have the photos I sent you?
Yeah, I do. I figured I'd show them the display that we have up too, John.
Sharon, do you have the?
No, unfortunately, we didn't receive any photos from you, but I think Dale's gonna try to show your pieces that are there. Dale, your screen has frozen. Dale, can you hear us?
So where am I at with the screen? Can you guys help me out here?
We can just see
is it
part of
free?
it. Okay, now we see your face.
Yeah, I can hear you, Sharon. Yeah.
Dale, how about the title wall? Do you have the file that shows the statement on our title wall about this
Can you see
exhibit?
that? Yeah, so hang on, guys. I think we're having Wi-Fi issues. Yeah, shut yours down. I don't think that's going to be a problem. All right, hey, Sharon, can you hear me?
If you don't have the text for the title wall, if you can just go to the title wall and read it to us, that would be great.
Okay. Can you see that? So the name of Joan's exhibit here, we'll get us some images here in a minute, is Revision. And basically, what this work is about, that we'll show you is, and Joan can elaborate on it, but we're stating this composing multi-part objects is confounding and inspiring at once. So many possible iterations, one is decided upon, but other options continually suggest themselves. The loose process of sketching with raw clay describes what else might have happened here, adjusting a curve, adding features, or a complete reinvention. The unfussy tools are a hammer, butter knife, and hands, a welcome departure from calipers and the drawing box. At last the play. I am neither a fluid thrower nor a bold hand builder. Making pots is focused work for me, rarely play.
It's my nature to refine things to death, even though the artwork I most covet and collect is gestural and seemingly fragile to create. Novel processes can be a direct bridge to growth or linger in our experienced library for future need. Liberation from the idea of making permanent is a worthwhile process itself. It includes the lovely absence of place buying and pricing decisions in for this body of work. The awareness that it hits the trash bin on April Fool's Day.
And
One more time.
that was garbled, yes?
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I have another individual here, so I have to have my mask on.
Yeah, actually, Dale, I think it's more that you're a little too far away from the microphone, possibly.
Oh, okay.
I have,
How's that?
can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, the show is called Reform, and as a group, we were individually responding to the fact that we're doing our creative work in a building that was once the prison reformatory. And the title wall says, "This building, this very spot, was a crowded dormitory when this site was a federal prison.
Good looking screen.
The red clay bricks which comprise these walls were made by inmates. Former prisoners and guards have visited, and we have heard their tales of violence and despair. As resident artists, we are literally surrounded by this history. The particular transformation from workhouse reformatory to clay studio has meaning greater than a mere repurposing of space. It is never lost on us that our work with clay is transformation itself." And my statement that Dale just read is somewhat long, but I couldn't hear it, and I wrote it so long ago.
Well, Joan, if Dale shows your pieces, would you like to talk to about your pieces a little bit that are on exhibit?
I think it's, for me, it was.
So what I'll do is let me show Joan, let me show the sketch pieces, okay?
Okay. Do you have those photos? Dale?
Okay? Yeah, I gotta find in a second here. Hang on.
So it's not that these pieces are,
And then there's a, can you talk about?
Dale, I'm going to have Joan talk because you're really cutting out quite a bit. So we'll let Joan talk about her pieces.
the pieces are kind of born of the process. It's sort of where I'm really treating my studio like a laboratory. I have fired works that,
Yeah, we have Wi-Fi. Sorry, guys. Hang on. I got Wi-Fi issues.
Dale, Joan's talking, so that's cool.
I take a hammer to them. I end up with shards, and then I use the shards to imagine new sculptures or new pieces, although they're all, even the things that are in the gallery, you would read it as a vessel. They're solids, they're not necessarily built in the way an actual functioning vessel would be built. And in the elongated piece that I think Dale has some photos of, that's mostly, it's kind of a paradox, because the structure of the pot, the actual spine of the pot, is raw clay. The skin of the pot, a minimal skin of the pot, is fired clay. And so but it reads, because the fired clay is shiny and hard and thin, it reads like an exoskeleton, but of course the structure's coming from inside. It's I'm thinking about a studio as laboratory. It's a different way of working, to different considerations. I don't have to worry about, firing these things. I don't have to worry about pricing these things, you know, they'll all ultimately go in the garbage. But it's a way for me to, I hate to use the word play, but kind of stretch myself, making types of things that I wouldn't normally. That's the one where I'm thinking of, you know, the guts there are the bones of the pot, and it's just fired pieces that are exoskeleton. And, you know, and over the months, you know, like I said, you know, when we showed this, the clay was still wet. And so now that it's dried out, everything is shrinking apart. It's kind of been interesting to watch.
Actually, yeah, it has been a nice process to watch in a lot of ways.
So it's continuing to transform the whole time it's in the exhibit. That's cool. So Joan, what gave you the idea to take a hammer to your work? Because I would say for a lot of artists, you
We
know,
all
they
do that all the time with clay. It's
oh really?
the normal part of what you do with stuff.
I'm glad I was able to get these up, Joan. I apologize because the Wi-Fi, for some reason, when I'm over there, so I'm in the front area, folks, of the gallery. Is where my office is, off of the gallery, and in the ceramics building. And when I go to that north west or north southwest corner, it seems like our Wi-Fi cuts out. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it did not like that.
And it didn't like me folding my into a tablet, which is why I like this laptop. It did not like it. But anyhow, so Joan, can you talk about this vessel here?
Well, this is one of my kind of standard things I make, the collared box. Here I've smashed away the bottom portion and rebuilt it, and then I've added on, you know, this base for it. I just sort of chunked out some wings, so the white that you're seeing is porcelain, and then I created a lid out of a bungee cord and porcelain, just to sort of you know, play with the space. You know, this is the kind of compositional work we're always doing, is thinking about how the eye is moving around the pot, and, you know, what's going to be the high point, you know, all this.
So what was the bungee choice? Was that related to the linear aspect of it, or the pattern of the bungee?
I think it was probably sitting on my table, and I thought,
random.
I don't know, you know, to make it, I don't know, you know.
It's kind of a random thing, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Joan?
which fits well with the pot. I mean, it's a very, you consider these sketches, so I think that fits quite well. I don't know if I have.
Was installing their finished pieces in the gallery, and I'm in my studio, like slapping this junk together. Sorry. No, it's fast. It was fast.
Joan?
Yes.
Joan? Have you thought of using paper clay and then actually firing some of these pieces?
No, I fired, well, say that, what's the suggestion?
Using paper clay, so you can then fire the pieces. But that was part of the gist of what she was doing, was to leave these kind of like these, they're not permanent. They're like these gestural kind of sketches that she's working with form.
If you use the paper clay, then it might be compatible with the different fired clays that you are using, and you would be able to keep the piece.
Yeah, I'm not interested in keeping them. It's a different type of endeavor.
Okay. Interesting.
It's after firing. It's now what else, you know, if I were to remake something like this, what could I do? I guess it's a way for me, who tends to work small scale. I do all this tedious stuff, and I realize that my work is not timid, but when I'm making it, I feel as if I have a timid nature. So for me to put an extreme spout on something, not on this piece, but, you know, to just sort of smack this piece of metal on here and crunch clay around it to emulate a handle. you know, it's just kind of a way for me to stretch a muscle I don't normally use. But I'm not interested in making these permanent. Or maybe there'll be an idea here that I think, okay, I will make this. But yeah, this point is a different.
So you're freeing yourself. This is a way you're freeing your design process.
Yeah, and I also don't have to, you know, I can liberate myself from all the technical issues, you know, which is always like a seat belt.
Yeah.
You know.
Very good. So anybody, so Joan, anything to elaborate about the current object that I have up here?
No, not really.
Not really? Okay.
Sure, after I took this picture, I thought I'd get a better shot of it, and I promptly snapped something off of it, you know, so.
It was too cool. All right. So Joan, you want to give everybody your website and your email if they have any questions?
How about Instagram is Joan Ulrich Ceramics.
Okay.
And that's probably something I keep slightly up to date.
And this is Instagram. So what do they, so you guys are gonna have to excuse my ignorance. So what would they call that in Instagram? Is that the URL or is that the handle? Instagram handle. Gotcha. See, I'm an old school guy, so did I type in that right? Good?
Yep.
Okay. So it's not like a hashtag.
No, Dale, just stop talking.
I love it. It's hilarious. All right, so we're gonna have Sarah go next. Miss Petty. So Sarah,
Dale, you have to take Sarah off mute.
I got, yeah.
There you go.
Karen.
Got herself. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how you doing? Hello.
Good. Sarah is the newest member of the ceramics department, but she's been here. You've been here a year now, more than a year, right?
I started taking, actually, this is where I took my first ceramics class ever. That was June of 2014.
Oh, so you've technically been with Workhouse a really long time, but she's been a studio artist with us now too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, and Sarah, you want to talk a little bit about your background real quick?
Sure. I graduated at the Maryland Institute College of Art, and I mostly studied painting, classical drawing, and classical figurative sculpture. And then after that, I went to acupuncture school and kind of totally went in a different direction, and for many years didn't do any art at all, mainly because I was afraid that I would just starve to death. So I went for a career instead of continuing art. And then my dad passed away, and as part of, I always wanted to take a ceramics class. I was always curious about it. And I just felt called to try it and thought it would be something that would like just be therapeutic. And so I took my class at, actually with Dale. I think I took a year of classes with Dale, at least. And so that started my journey with ceramics. I fell in love with it right away. Was kind of sad that it took me so late in life to find it. But yeah, and so then now I'm here. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is, Sarah's got a couple objects up in the Reform exhibit, so I'll try one more time, see if I can get better at this. The show people. Yeah. Kristen, tell me if you can see. Does that look good? Okay, so Sarah, a couple of these pieces that you have, and then if you could talk about your statement, I'll try to get that centered, okay?
Okay. Again, I also wrote the statement a long time ago.
No, it's all good. How's that? Is that good?
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, get a little closer again. Take one more step. That's perfect.
Right there?
Yep.
Okay.
Up just a tad. There. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. So Sarah, talk about this piece that's in front of the screen here.
It's a composition that's created with some of the bricks that I found on the grounds of campus. And the piece is called Flower Brick, and it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but also I'm using earthenware clay, low fire, and also porcelain. And so I've used, and I also made my own brick to kind of be composed and place the flowers inside my own brick to be composed with everything. And it was just sort of like a, the theme of the show is very much paying homage to the surrounding of where we work and its history. And I kind of wanted to play with, bricks that are found on the grounds, and play with my own creativity. And it's blending high fire and low fire clay, multiple firings. First time I played with like already high fired clay and incorporating earthenware clay. So I was just kind of being inspired by the show itself, and kind of going with an experimental process of just pointing to the creativity of this place. There's an exhibition on the photography program that they used to have here with the prisoners. And it was sort of talking about how creativity has kind of been a part of this establishment for, for a while. And so it's just kind of, it was just interesting to, I've been creating this place without really thinking about the surrounding. So it was really a great opportunity to kind of blend those two experiences.
Very nice. And then this piece, let me see if I can get this squared. How's that look? Good?
Yeah. Yes.
So that piece is, so there were other pieces that I had made for the show that didn't make it. I had made my own bricks using these antique brick molds. One of them you see here. And I was actually making living bricks out of, basically making like a chia pet out of a brick, chia seeds. But it just, with everything going on with COVID, and I wasn't going to be able to be in to tend that piece. That would be kind of high maintenance. But anyway, this is a piece that has one of the antique fire brick molds that I found. And I also in my work, and flowers are often featured, and I usually use flowers as kind of a hopeful image, a feminine image, a delicate image. And so these are just multiples of flowers, again, playing off of the flower brick theme. So, yeah.
Very nice.
That's cool. Thanks. I really love how we kind of have a floral theme going tonight between and seeing the extremes of all the different kinds of artwork. Sarah's made out of clay, Karen's made out of glass, and Terry is out of layered watercolor.
Yeah, and so I'll, not too fast, don't get vertigo, folks, but is statement.
Can you read it for us?
So while using, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so while using local clay excavated from the premises by ceramic artist Jeremy Jernigan, I am exploring and celebrating transformation and growth in response to my environment as a maker at the workhouse. Living bricks are a mix of porcelain and Occoquan clay. Using a brick mold, I created my own bricks, as some of the former inmates did, that are now a part of our building. Flower bricks contrast the history of violence of this former men's prison. Sarah Petty.
That's very cool, Sarah. I'm glad you mentioned Jeremy, because Jeremy was a visiting artist who was here, gosh, was it a year ago now, 2 years ago? But Jeremy was very interested in how the prisoners made the clay and exploring those processes now. So he'd actually go next door to Workhouse Arts Center is Occoquan Regional Park, and that's where the kilns used to be to make the bricks. And in fact, there's still one or two there now. And Jeremy went into the woods and dug up some of the clay. The Virginia soil is very clay-like. He dug up some of the clay in the woods and used that to create a lot of different vessels, just to explore that clay is, of course, a different consistency than the clay a lot of the artists buy to use or make to use. And it was very interesting to see what that material looked like as far as artistic forms goes, as opposed to brick.
Yeah, so he was a visiting resident artist. He did a residency here for a year. He teaches at Tulane University in New Orleans. And he was here from September to August, or actually no, actually a little less than a year, 10 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was September through June of 2019. So he actually has a couple pieces over in the museum that he donated to the Lucy Burns Museum on site, which is a museum that just opened up this past February. Of course, we closed, and now it's reopened, and they're open 12 to 5 on Saturdays. Sarah, did you have anything else you wanted to add about your work?
No.
Okay, so you can also, who is it? Christy and Kristen Morsh's work and Sarah's work can also be seen in the current Clay International exhibit that's up in the main gallery building on campus, and that'll be up through mid-October. It comes down, I believe, it's up through October 10th. I want to say 11th at the latest. I can't remember what Sunday that is, but that'll be open when you come on site again, Fridays through Sundays, 12 to 5. So there's several of the resident artists that are represented in that international exhibit as well, which is pretty cool.
So Sarah, would you be okay with sharing your email address with everyone?
Sure.
So I'll type it in for you.
And then Dale, when you're done typing that in, we have 15 minutes for Kristen and Brian.
Oh, there you go. Sarah's got it. Thank you, Sarah.
Great. Thank you.
SarahPettyArt.com.
Yeah.
And are you on Instagram too, Sarah?
You know it.
What's your handle? There you go. Great. Thank you. All right. So Brian, you ready, buddy? Awesome. Okay. So I'll bring up a couple pictures of Brian Grove's work.
Brian,
now,
Brian, you're on mute.
There
yeah,
you go.
no, I'm good now. Hey, since we're short on time, I'm Brian. Let me tell you a little bit about the work I put in there and sort of the idea. First, my Instagram handle is b.d.grow, G-R-O-W. And Facebook is just Brian Grow. Email is bdgrow71@gmail.com. So anyway, Dale or somebody can post that if they want. But there's that. The pieces that I have in the show are pretty relative to what I normally make. I work in a very guttural, physical fashion. And I have several ideas that run through all that. But the idea here is to respond to this idea, this paragraph of transformation that we all sort of constructed together, this concept of what we're doing. And I think that paragraph actually, or show statement, does a really good job at summing up all the issues that we have about the place and the energy in it and the transformation of the space itself, and also of the people in the space and sort of their stories and their despair as well as their hopes as they move through this part in their lives. And it sort of does have, as Joan mentioned, it does have a really a real relevance to what we do in clay. So as we work wet, it then gets fired and then transforms into something permanent. And hopefully the reformation of people in this institution was conceptually to reform them as people too. So put them through the cauldron and have them come out the other side. But anyway, so my work is a combination of sculptural work, juxtapositions with functional ideas. So you may have vases that are very textural at the base and very smooth and very identifiable at the top. There's a couple pieces that are just rammings of clay in the tray forms, some crushed forms that have threaded rod through them that are compressing the actual clay itself into a glob or a unit with a small opening for vessel use. Couple of my usual teapots to sort of fit the theme, and yeah, it's some tower pieces as well. And it's sort of like I said, the idea for me is more sculptural versus functional, sculptural versus lines in space and that sort of stuff. So and the way, I mean, those juxtapositions, the way they transform, what they suggest to each other. Anyway, so that's where I'm at with the work I have in the show. Thanks for listening.
So Brian, can you talk a little bit about your firing process?
Yeah, sure. I do most of my firing in a atmospheric kiln. So I do a lot of soda firing. I do a lot of salt wood firing, mostly wood firing, which involves the sort of partnership between the artist loading the kiln and the firing itself. The firing does a lot of the surface work for you. The firing as essentially flame moves through the kiln and licks over the surface of the pots. So a lot of the textural things I have acts like little rock forms, and then the flame acts like a stream. So if you imagine looking at a stream, so you have a rock in the stream, and the water hits one side and causes a little fervor, right? On the other side of the rock, there's a quiet space, so like a little eddy of sorts. So the flame does the same thing. So your piece essentially being the rock. And then so one side is very dominant and the other side is more quiet. So there's a juxtaposition there in how it's fired and what the surface transforms into, if I'm using the language of the day. Yeah, so that's what's happening.
Very cool.
And so Brian, do you fire locally? Do you fire out of state? Do you fire with large groups of people individually?
Yeah, mostly small groups. I mean, less than 10 people firing wise. You do need a team of people to fire because you're firing for usually 24 hours or more. And if you're not familiar with wood firing, you're basically stoking a firebox, stoking a furnace or a stove or an oven continuously for 24 hours. So you burn something like 3 cords or 2 cords of wood over that 24-hour period. So if you know anything about wood, that's a lot of wood.
That is.
Yeah. So I built a kiln, my own kiln for an art center up in Philadelphia some years ago, and that was my go-to kiln for a number of years. But since I moved down here to Virginia, I've been sort of a kiln gypsy, traveling around from kiln to kiln to kiln. I've had the pleasure of firing with 5 different groups of people, 5 different kiln sites at this point, 6 and 7 if you count soda and salt. So a bit of a gypsy, Wasn't sure how long I was going to stay here.
So firing is a big part of, of course, any ceramic work, but I think it's more so with yours in a lot of respects. So do you think the dialogue that occurs during that firing process has informed your work over the years?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, now I'm making more hills and hollows in my work. So thinking about the spaces behind forms that bump out. So to actually direct the flame how I want it to paint the surface. So it's definitely information coming from the firing process into what I'm doing. And I like it fits naturally because I like things that are textural. I like things that are guttural. And I really, really have an aversion to things that are round. So make a round pot and it's got to be manipulated. And also sort of the mark of the hand. I think the hand needs to be present in my work. It doesn't need to be present in all work. I mean, I love Ming Dynasty vases, that's fantastic. It's significant presence-wise and technically, but I need to have hands all over my stuff. So that's me.
Great.
Very nice.
Thank you, Brian. Does anybody have any questions for Brian? No? So Brian, can you type in once we get moving on, just,
I actually shared them already. I
oh, you
shared
did?
Brian.
Okay, I can't see him, sorry.
That's okay. I shared Brian's email address, his Instagram handle, and his Facebook.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay.
You're
All right, so we're going
And
to
then
move on. I'm sorry.
Kristen. I was just gonna say we have Kristen still.
Uh-huh. So, and then when I walk out, so Kristen, are you going to be able to, you think, stand in front of that piece? And I'll just put a picture up? Yeah, let's see if
Sorry.
we can't. Let me share first. Hang on.
Kristen's sitting in the W8 gallery right now.
Yeah, that's why we were trying to do the mask thing so I don't contaminate her airspace. Hang on, I'm gonna mute myself for a second.
Nice. That's pretty good, Kristen. We're mostly seeing the trunk. And then Kristen, also you're on mute. There you go. Thank you.
Here I am.
Great. So Kristen, what's the title of this piece?
It's called Emergence. And I can just read my statement real quickly here. Oh, I lost it. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Trying to do things better. So I do a lot of work with the imagery of nature. Oops. One.
Just talk.
Okay. And tell me how's that look on the screen?
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect.
Go ahead and stand in front of the piece a little bit. And you can take your mask off. It's all right. So we can hear you.
All right. So nature is my muse when I work in clay. So this piece is evolving from the clay that Jeremy Jernigan dug out of the Occoquan. So the bottom part is the Occoquan River clay. And then I didn't have enough, so it then has gone into red clay low fire. And then actually these are true real vines that grew on the workhouse fences back in the back area. And it has porcelain flowers, leaves that I painted with underglazes hanging on. And the idea was over time, I was going to add more leaves. This was supposed to be a spring into summer exhibit almost. So the leaves I would have added gradually so that people who are coming into the workhouse could see the leaves emerging. But my statement is, let's see. So taking walks around the workhouse has revealed some of the past usage of this site. The buildings we occupy as artists have been transformed into creative spaces. Other areas are slowly decaying and nature is taking over. So parts of this piece I have created are made from the Occoquan River clay, the same clay that was formed into the bricks for the structures here. The clay is manipulated and reformed into a lichen that is generating new life. A small tree emerges from it and leaves are growing, representing the repurposing of this space from one of control to that of openness and creativity. So my idea was to continue my work with nature, how nature is a lot of times taken over by man and decimated by man, but nature seems to be able to survive. And so this is a part of this site where the clay is creating new life through our clay creations. So
very cool. So here, I'll give you back. And then I'll go back and I can ask questions.
Okay. I'll leave it.
So, Dale, I shared Kristen's website and email with everyone. You can also find more information about Kristen on our website and under our artist directory. Yeah, that's better. And Dale, we have about 3 minutes.
Can I just talk real quick about the glaze? So this is a real glaze on here that looks like lichens. It's a Virginia Scotchy glaze. She's an artist who's created a couple of glazes. Well, maybe she didn't create them, but she certainly uses them a lot. And so I was able to use this glaze, and it looks like lichens. So that was really an interesting part of this piece when I fired it, that how nicely it came out. I was really excited about that, which you never know what you're going to find when you when you fire things. So
it looks really realistic. Very cool. So everyone, real quick, just in case we get cut off at 7:30, because this is when it's supposed to end, thank you for joining us tonight. And we're going to restart our virtual second Saturday series on September 12th. But Kristen, would you like to share a little more about your work until we cut out?
Oh.
You don't have
Well, I generally work in, sure. I generally work in paper clay. The piece that I have over in building 16 right now is a paper clay piece with also some dark brown clay in it. But I try to take things that I find in nature and transpose them and just try to make people more aware of our environment and how we impact our environment and what we can do to help save our environment, which is pretty important these days. So, and clay is just an amazing medium to be able to really do that. So I'm happy to have found this medium, which came late in my life as well.
But a very cool one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. We will do this again in September with our featured artists for the month of September. This was a little test run to getting back to a virtual second Saturday event. So thank you, everyone who joined us tonight. Yeah. Dale, you're on
Thank you,
mute
Sharon.
talking.
Geez, that's probably a good thing. That's what my wife tells me. All right.
You're welcome, guys. Dale, anything you want to say before we go?
I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I'm going to type in my email address. If you have any questions about the workhouse or about any of the artists here, feel free to email me and I'll try to help you out as much. If you come by, look us up. I'm sorry. Okay. So
I think we're getting feedback.
So if anybody has any questions about the artists on site here, or if you want a custom tour, just look us up in Building 8. That's where my office is. And just come by and we'll try to do our best to make sure that we educate you guys about the Workhouse Art Center and the wonderful artists that we have here. All right?
Great.
Thank you for your time tonight. We really appreciate it. Stay safe and healthy.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Good
Bye-bye.
night.
At the end of the day,